Brigade Reconnaissance Squadron conducts close reconnaissance within the brigade area of influence, obtaining information on the enemy and on the ground, and passing it back quickly to brigade headquarters. It is tasked by the brigade commander in very general terms, and is normally allowed wide freedom of action to accomplish its mission. Reconnaissance operations are categorized as route, area, or point recce activities. Route recce operations are conducted to rapidly gather information on the route, obstacles, the enemy, and on adjacent terrain. They will likely take place along a major axis, withdrawal, or counterattack route. The squadron can recce up to 2 routes concurrently, if they are parallel and in reasonable proximity to each other, while still maintaining a reserve force for picketing of bypassed enemy elements. A recce is being conducted along Heart Route in support of the brigade advance against an enemy flank. It is being undertaken with 1 recce troop on either side of the main axis, each with a section from the support troop. As they proceed, they recce woods, hills, and towns dominating the route, and any critical points such as river crossings that are within their assigned block of terrain. Urban areas are normally bypassed unless they must be checked for their potential as a defile or if they are occupied as a strong point. Engineer recce parties would be attached to the troops when there is a requirement for detailed bridge structure or obstacle classification along the route. The 3rd Troop and the support troop follow along the main axis to provide depth, or they may be tasked to perform other recce duties. The squadron is being supported by 2 sections of helicopters. They provide rapid wide area coverage and can assist in watching lateral approaches, exits from the main towns, and gaps not being covered by the squadron. Command and control measures must not be so numerous as to clutter maps, rendering them unreadable. Reporting is by radio, and additional details can be added following the completion of the task. An area recce operation is a time-consuming activity which obtains brigade-specified intelligence on the enemy and ground, along a wide corridor in advance of the brigade. It requires all squadron resources to be deployed forward. Enemy locations will be identified, picketed, and handed over to follow-up battle groups. As it may be practically impossible for the squadron to maintain an effective reserve, an additional force may have to be made available from outside resources. An area recce operation is being conducted with 3 troops up, each with an assigned element of a support troop. The squadron is supported by a flight of helicopters, which will help accelerate the operation. Various control measures have been identified, such as intertroop boundaries, report lines, junction and reference points. The frontage assigned to each troop varies from 2 to 4 kilometers. During his orders, the squadron commander has stressed the areas where enemy might be expected and other points of specific interest. Liaison has been completed with the lead battle group to cover any gaps that might be created between the squadron and the main body, and to ensure the flanks are supported. In addition, the squadron will likely be required to man various junction points along the brigade boundary. Fire planning in support of the operation has included a selection of on-call artillery targets and close air support missions. The troops carry on with their tasks, quickly identifying and reporting all enemy activity in the sector. Their picketing is coordinated with follow-on battle groups. A point recce operation is carried out in conjunction with other tasks and involves reaching the location without delay, bypassing and reporting any enemy encountered en route. It acquires detailed information on a crossing site, a built-up area, or the like. A typical point reconnaissance operation might involve proceeding to and carrying out a reconnaissance of a location suspected of being hit by a gas attack, determining the extent and type of contamination, and reporting on any enemy attempt at its occupation. Important factors involved in a point recce operation include a detailed map study of the route to and the location to be recce'd. The need for speed predominates the requirement to conduct a thorough en route recce. the recce force cannot become pinned down while en route to its location. Helicopters will speed up progress to the location, and once there, they can help watch for the enemy. Once in the location, the reconnaissance must proceed with speed and thoroughness. Approaches to the location must be watched. Contact must be maintained by radio throughout, and artillery support would help in ensuring the progress of the troop, while it is within the range of the guns. The squadron's primary tasks are reconnaissance and surveillance. Reconnaissance involves obtaining information on enemy activities and resources, or to secure data on the characteristics of a particular area or location. Surveillance involves a systematic watch over the battle area to provide information for combat intelligence. The squadron also performs other tasks, such as providing a screen, carrying out flank surveillance, acting as a flank guard if it is suitably reinforced, carrying out rear area security duties, effecting liaison for passage of lines, conducting radiological and chemical reconnaissance, assisting with traffic control, and convoy, VIP, and PW escorts. A screen observes, identifies, and reports on the enemy. It does not have the integral capability to impose delay, but can employ indirect fire, air, or aviation resources to effect delay on the enemy. The squadron survives through its use of mobility, ground cover, and concealment. Attached observation helicopters considerably enhance its mission effectiveness. In the defense, the screen provides the brigade commander with continuous information on the approaching enemy by establishing a total observation over the area, and particularly on the major approaches. The squadron sets up an OP line to cover major and any secondary approaches, and patrols the areas not covered by observation. It coordinates with the withdrawing covering force, develops its own fire plan, and organizes the withdrawal of the screen. The task involves accurate and timely reporting, maintaining contact with the enemy, avoiding firefights, and using indirect fire to engage the enemy at a distance. The screen is deployed 6 to 15 kilometers beyond the FIBA, covering a frontage of 10 to 15 kilometers. The squadron is thus usually found with most of its resources deployed forward, with 3 recce troops up and the support troop in depth. Altogether, the recce troops can man a total of 9 OPs for prolonged periods, but may double this number for periods of up to 12 hours. The support troop can augment the OP line with an additional 4 observation posts. Alternatively, 1 or more of its sections can be employed to patrol a likely area of enemy infiltration. Helicopters can assist in covering the area between the OP line and the FIBA and help maintain contact with infiltrating enemy recce elements. In an emergency, they can function as static OPs during hours of darkness or in very poor visibility conditions. Helicopters can also provide assistance during the withdrawal of the screen by recceing withdrawal routes and providing rapid liaison for passage of lines. Flank surveillance involves establishing a mobile screen to maintain surveillance over the area between the main body and the enemy. This action can be assisted by close liaison with the flank guard battle group, augmenting the squadron with helicopter support, adding directly to its firepower, and by increasing the allocation of artillery. In providing for flank surveillance, a series of picket positions are established on likely approaches between the main body and the enemy. These positions keep pace with the main body by leapfrog or caterpillar movements from location to location. 2 troop sectors can be occupied at any given time, with a 3rd troop moving at best speed to a new location, where it establishes observation along a designated approach. The squadron HQ moves along the axis while the support troop and helicopters patrol the area between the main body and the troop locations, maintaining observation over the approach that has just been vacated by the recce troop. Additionally, the thoroughness of the squadron operation will be influenced by the presence of the enemy, the speed of the advance, and the degree of warning provided of an enemy approach. The fire plan must cover targets visible from the OP line and from any helicopters operating within the area between the main body and the screen. And consideration may be given to attaching elements of the support troop to each recce troop, or to employ it as an additional recce force. Should the squadron be tasked as a flank guard, it must be reinforced. These additions could include anti-armor, attack helicopters, tanks, or infantry. The squadron will be required to impose delay on the enemy's advance by stopping the flank threat or causing him to deploy. The squadron would normally deploy each of its recce troops to an area which is occupied in depth, or it can provide a light screen across the flank, along with a grouping of in-depth blocking positions. Depending on terrain, the squadron could be located 5 to 8 kilometers from the main body, and its elements maneuvered from position to position. The support troop and the attached helicopters would likely be employed to provide surveillance of the area between the screen and the main body. Rear area security operations would likely involve protecting against enemy attacks by airborne, air mobile, or guerrilla forces in the formation's rear area. Taskings could include the protection of key installations, units, and lines of communication, the denial of DZs and LZs, locating and destroying stay-behind and guerrilla forces, action against breakthrough forces, area damage assessment, traffic control, and convoy escort. A rear area security deployment plan could involve surveillance over portions of the rear area, establishing OPs to cover designated areas, positioning a rapid reaction troop, which can be dispatched to counter any threat, confirming the designation of units to provide reinforcements, patrolling the MSR in conjunction with the MPs, providing listening posts and additional patrols throughout the brigade rear area, providing troops for convoy escort duties, and checking specified locations for NBC contamination. Another deployment possibility includes dividing the rear area into sectors, with each sector being the responsibility of a recce troop, and employing the support troop as the rapid reaction force. Other activities that might also involve the squadron would include liaison with civil agencies, imposition of light policies, and strict security of all unit locations, communication tests and warning or reaction rehearsals, and maintenance of movement discipline throughout the area. Should the enemy employ chemical or nuclear weapons on the battlefield, the squadron would have a function in the monitoring and reconnaissance of contaminated sites for chemical and radiological hazards. The task of monitoring would be performed on a continuing basis by patrols, OPs, or individual vehicles in conjunction with their normal reconnaissance tasks. The squadron will report the results to the NBC Control Center at Brigade Headquarters. The squadron's procedures, planning, and execution of a nuclear or chemical reconnaissance are similar to an area recce, with the particular purpose of establishing the extent of contamination, searching for routes around a contaminated area, determining the accessibility of routes within the stricken area, and reporting on damage resulting from the attack. Should the squadron be tasked to conduct a survey of a contaminated area, the troops would be involved in confirming the boundaries and determining the levels of contamination at locations which are of particular interest in the conduct of future operations, and locating, defining, and signing hotspots on given routes. Helicopters can greatly assist both the reconnaissance and survey effort by providing general information on the extent of the contaminated area. The squadron may also be involved in NBC-oriented tasks, such as determining and reporting on the fighting capability of a unit hit by a strike, establishing communications between an attacked unit and its next higher headquarters, helping to assemble survivors and forming them into fighting elements, assisting in casualty evacuation, and helping with evacuation of equipment and personnel to decontamination points, augmenting traffic control resources of the military police, and performing operational decontamination on its personnel and equipment. When undertaking traffic control tasks, the squadron would be involved in ensuring columns follow the prescribed route and block timings, preventing unauthorized military and refugee traffic from interfering with scheduled movement, reconnaissance of detours and direction of traffic over them if the recognized route becomes blocked, keeping in touch with and reporting on the progress of current movement, helping to transmit and effect any alterations in orders to columns, packets, or serials, and reporting on the state of roads. When involved in traffic control operations, the squadron could be tasked to provide the regulating headquarters which would run the movement operation in the brigade area, several sector headquarters to assist with the direction of traffic, individual traffic posts which would identify and log each packet as it goes through, advise column commanders of any changes, and regulate the entry of units along the route in accordance with the movement plan, and liaison detachments at higher formation agencies and at key locations to deal with problems surrounding the reconnaissance of routes and the loss of communication during moves. Additionally, the squadron will likely be required to establish communications with the start and release points and with brigade headquarters. Helicopters can be used to back up communications, for liaison, and to monitor movement along the route. Prior to the move, alternate routes and assembly areas would be recce'd. Some elements will be maintained to respond to problems as required. The squadron could be tasked to provide a force for convoy escort duties. This force would be deployed into 3 tactical groups: the advance group, or leading element, which proves the safety of the route, provides warning and recce's detours; the close protection group, which is spread throughout the column and provides for its security. It could include the escort commander and elements from the support troop; and the reserve group, which is the immediate reaction force, providing rearguard protection and recovery support as required. Prior to departure, the escort commander ensures the column's vehicles are in an acceptable state of serviceability, that all personnel are briefed on anti-ambush drills and march discipline. The Brigade Reconnaissance Squadron is a very flexible organization with the inherent mobility that allow for its rapid response to new or unforeseen tasks. It is a valuable addition to the Brigade's combat capability.